Let's talk about something that every single one of us does, every single day. Communicate. We all do it all the time, but let's be honest, we don't always get it right. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain and figure out why.
Oh, you know the feeling, right? You craft an email, you fire off a text message, and to you, it seems perfectly clear. But the reply you get back is from another planet. It's frustrating, it can be a little embarrassing, and it happens constantly. But why? What is going on there?
Well, here's the thing. All that confusion happens because communication is so much more than just tossing words back and forth. You got to think of it like a really complex machine with all these little moving parts. And if even one of those tiny gears gets stuck, the whole message can just completely fall apart.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Before we can fix the machine, we have to understand what it's even trying to do. What is the actual goal of communicating, and why is it so ridiculously easy to miss the mark?
You know, at its absolute core, communication is all about one thing: creating a shared understanding. That's the key phrase right there. It's not enough to just, send information. The person on the other end has to get it and understand it in the exact same way you meant it. That's the finish line. That's the goal.
So, to figure out where things go wrong, we first need to see how the machine is supposed to work when everything is running smoothly. So come on, let's build this thing together, piece by piece.
Okay, so this is the classic blueprint, the Shannon model of communication. Let's walk through it. First, it all starts with the sender. That's you having an idea. Then you encode it. You turn that idea into words, maybe pick an emoji. After that, you use a transmitter, like your voice or your thumbs on a keyboard, to send it out. That message then travels through a channel. Could be the air, could be the internet. On the other end, a receiver, like someone's ears or their phone screen, picks it up. And finally, their brain decodes that message so it reaches its final destination. Simple enough, right? Well,
That process looks so clean and straightforward on paper, but there's a ghost in the machine. There's this one thing that can jam up the gears at any point along the way, and it's pretty much responsible for every miscommunication you've ever had.
And that big bad culprit is called noise. Now, when I say noise, I don't just mean static on a bad phone call. In communication, noise is anything that messes with the message. It could be physical noise for sure, but it could also be confusing corporate jargon that no one understands. Or, and this is a big one, it could be your own emotions. Ever read an email when you're already in a bad mood? Yeah, that mood is noise, and it totally changes how you interpret the words.
This quote right here really just nails it. For this whole thing to actually work, the idea that started in the sender's head has to be the exact same idea that lands in the receiver's head, and noise is the #1 reason that perfect transfer so rarely happens.
All right, let's take this machine out of the lab and put it into the real world, like an office. In any company, big or small, information has to flow through specific pathways. And if you don't understand these channels, things can get messy fast.
So, organizations basically have two different wiring systems. You've got your formal channels, right? The official stuff. Think memos from HR, reports to your boss, that kind of thing. It's structured. But then you have the informal channels, which everybody knows as the grapevine. This is just people talking to people. It's way faster, for sure. But it's also where gossip and rumors can spread like wildfire, because there are no checks and balances.
And of course, a business isn't just talking to itself. You've got all this internal chatter between workers, managers, and directors, but then you have all this critical external communication happening with customers, with suppliers, with the local community, even with banks and the government. Each one of those audiences is a totally different receiver, which means you have to choose your words and your channel really, really carefully.
Okay, up until now we've been talking a lot about words, messages, and emails, but here's the twist. A huge, and I mean huge, part of our communication machine works in total silence. And this is often where the real message, the one that gets misunderstood, is actually sent. Now check this out, because this is pretty mind-blowing. We spend only about 9% of our communication time actually writing, and just 30% speaking. But look at that huge slice of the pie. A whopping 45% of our time is spent just listening and receiving information. It just goes to show you, being a great communicator isn't so much about talking, it's about being an amazing receiver and decoder of messages. And a lot of what we're receiving isn't words at all. It's things like kinesics, body language, right? A facial expression, crossing your arms. It's proxemics, that's all about personal space, how close you stand to someone.
It's paralanguage. This one's my favorite. It's not what you say, but how you say it. You know that sarcastic tone of voice? That's paralanguage. And there's even time language. Showing up 10 minutes late to a meeting sends a very loud message without saying a single word.
All right, we've built the machine, we've met the villain, noise. We've looked at all the different wires and channels, even the silent ones. So now let's put it all together and pinpoint exactly why our carefully crafted messages so often get completely lost in translation.
So here it is. This is what it looks like when noise wins. The breakdown can happen for so many reasons. Maybe it's our own perceptions filtering what we hear, or our emotions totally twisting the meaning of an email. Maybe it's just ambiguous words or jargon that clog up the whole system. Sometimes it's simple information overload, too much coming in at once. Or maybe we just plain forget. Each and every one of these is just a different flavor of noise that causes that communication machine to break down.
So what's the big takeaway here? Look, we're never going to stop every single message from being misunderstood. It's just not possible. But by understanding that communication is this complex machine full of all these hidden layers and channels and potential sources of noise, well, that changes the game. It means we can be smarter about it. We can think about who we're talking to, choose our channel more wisely, and maybe, just maybe, listen a little harder for the messages that are hidden behind the words.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big question to think about. We've just broken down this timeless machine of human communication. But now we're living in a world with AI that helps us write, business chats that are filled with emojis, and teams that are spread all over the globe. The channels are changing, the noise is changing. So what new kinds of breakdowns are we going to have to fix? And what new rules will we all have to learn to really, truly understand each other? Thanks for watching.